Hello. On this episode, we're going to talk about your man Meek Mill giving apologies, George Santos still lying in these streets, and Prince Harry doing a tell-all or autobiography. What's going on here, bro? Perfect Talk Podcast. What's good, Josh? Your man DJ Playboy back with another episode of the Perfect Talk Podcast. And you know, I hate doing an episode without my brother. He's in the building. He's back at it, man. My guy, my partner, my podcaster host, podcast co-host. Right? Keith, what's good, brother?
Just give me the light. That joint. We were just talking about lighting right before we launched and shit. Mm-hmm. It reminded me of one of my coworkers be using a light to light they joint up, and they light skin, and but I don't know. He must be using like a mag light or some shit. One of them from the infomercials that dudes be using for tactical purposes.
Oh yeah,
wash the whole. Yeah, and it ain't no accident because he used that joint like multiple times. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, yo, I don't know how you do it too, because like I'll be doing the live with Niche. Shout out to Ayo Wednesdays. Check us out on Instagram, 8 p.m. every Wednesday, and just staring at this light for like the entire time. I got like a migraine by the end of this shit, bro. And I got another one right here to the side too. You know what I mean? So I got got a ton of shit going on. Now I get extra bright though. How you been, man? How's life been, brother? Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. New Year. New Year, new you. I just be chilling, man. Just trying to maintain. I ain't make no resolutions like that, but I've been continuing. I haven't been doing the gym like more than I had before, but I have been trying to make time for it. So going like at least like 5 times a week.
That's everybody's big one. Like New Year's must be Planet Fitness's Black Friday.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
every gym is giving some deals, but the deals be mad limited. It'd be like through February or March or something like that. I think this is like a date, like a science to it, like through I can't remember through which date, but from New Year's until some date, like gym memberships are through the roof.
It's funny because that's usually when I chill out going, because that's when you get all the new people.
Yeah.
Don't know how to use equipment. They, you know what I'm saying? Got no gym etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't with it, man. But I do. I was going consistently. This week's been kind of hectic, but that's the thing too, right? When you get those hectic weeks, especially we got kids too, man. It's like it's real easy to go 1 day, 2 day. Next thing you know, it's 4 days since you've been in that joint. So I'm just trying to stay consistent, get back on it, man. How's everything else? How's life been?
Life's been good, man. You know, the kids getting older. Yeah, we're getting crazy.
How's the first Christmas?
Well, this is the second Christmas, but this is the first like walking Christmas. Like this is first Christmas with like manual dexterity, and so you can like tear stuff open, play with mad toys, just the tree up and everything.
Nice. Yeah. You gotta create the fantasy, man. It gets harder.
Yeah.
It gets get more expensive. But that's the cool thing about cool kids. Little kids, you get them cheap. They like the box more than the present. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So trying to temper people down with like buying too. That's probably the biggest challenge. Like, not, trying to ask people not to buy too much big shit. Mm-hmm. Like, man, stop buying them cars and fucking houses and shit. Just buy them like I don't know. Just get them the box, man. Just
literally the most simple shit. Yeah. You know what's crazy? I don't think I told you about this. Like in the past maybe 3 months, I got into Nerf guns. And never had a Nerf gun as a kid. No, like your mom's probably the same way. You can't play with guns. You're gonna get shot by the police outside. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or the gangbang is gonna. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Somebody gonna mistake it for something. So it's like, nah, we don't do that gunplay. And I never was into like guns as a kid. I mean, we shot real guns before and stuff like that. Went to firing ranges, but
as a kid.
No. As adults, we went to Vegas and all. Remember?
Oh, you mean because you said as a kid you were never into guns and shit. I was like, damn, you grew up and spent a couple summers in Arkansas that I didn't know
about. Nah. But so I never really was into them. And then one day I just kind of seen one that caught my eye. I was like, dumb cheap. I was like, it had a nice little design to his little like one shooter, and I went from there. Now I got the big shit with the drum on it. You know what I'm saying? I got all types of shit. And I remember Spec had came by the crib one time. We was doing an episode. And I was like, I'm gonna show him, you know what I'm saying, the joint. I pulled out like, the crazy one. Like I was like, I've been fucking with these Nerf guns. And he didn't even like look at it. He didn't even like, if you bring out a toy, somebody gonna be like, yo, let me see what's good. Yeah. He didn't even like want to touch it. So I was like, all right, think it made me feel little. Made me feel embarrassed about my new hobby and shit. Next thing I know, this nigga hit me up like, yo, wifey, because he got a son. He's like, wifey, cop little man, some of these Nerf guns. I've been playing with this shit for 2 hours straight. And he showed me his shit. So he done built up his collection. I'm like, yo, these shits is addictive, bro. I don't know what it is. They silly, but it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little stress reliever too.
Don't they got like a little like like a feedback, like a sound, like a feeling of a click and shit like that?
Yeah, because sometimes you got to cock them. You definitely got a full gun feel. Like, and I think we got a me Spec got the same one I got. We got a shotgun one that can shoot 2 at one time. If you hit the light enough, I'm like, yo, this is a little too like in depth for these kids to be getting into though, bro.
Yeah.
And but you can never shut like it was Nerf or nothing. Can't shut down the Nerf gun industry, bro.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is though, I mean, guns is a thing. It's just difficult to tackle. How is it just the access to real firearms that you got to tackle, and the psychological, I don't know, romancification of it? Like, what do you tackle? Is a Nerf gun necessarily going to make a kid into a shooter? I don't know. It's kind of like the whole hip hop thing. Like, if kids listen to rap, will it make them this or whatever?
I don't let my daughter play with them. I feel weird about, and even like when I told Gary, I was like, when Gary told me his son had one, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like, I don't know, but I teach his own, right? Like it takes parenting. Every parent do their own thing to their own style. But for me, I think maybe even so with like boys, I don't know, because you just think of boys being school shooters for some reason. It's like, I'm like, nah, we ain't doing the Nerf gun thing. We can find a whole bunch of other things. But then is that really different than them playing Fortnite? Is that really different than them playing these games, Call of Duty? So it's really the parenting that comes in, you know what I mean? And it brings us actually to our first topic, man. We haven't spoken in a while, but while we was on our break, we're gonna call this segment Catching Up with Keith, because you know what I'm saying, some things happen between the new year and now. And the first one that came up was a 6-year-old shot a teacher, bro, out in Virginia. You heard about that story?
Crazy story. And I guess, I mean, just like I said, the question is it that we just need to limit the access to real firearms, or is it that we need to limit to things that might bring about ideations of firing a gun? Perhaps it's both, man. 6 years old with like a clear intent. That's bananas. I did hear about that.
And hit the target. That's the part I'm like, yo, I shot as a grown man, shot a gun, and we could have hit the paper thing that we was trying to hit like 15 feet away. So I'm like, yo, he hit his target too. He knew exactly how to cock. It was a 9mm from what I understand. Like, he knew exactly what to do. The fact that it wasn't locked up, he had access to it. You know what I mean? Like, for everybody who doesn't know this, they haven't released his name, but basically the teacher, Abigail Werner, she's 25-year-old lady, was shot in the chest. She basically turned around and the gun was pointed at her. You know what I mean? Luckily she took a defensive position, and I think the bullet went through her hand and it hit her in the chest. But I think that's every modern day teacher's current fear, right? Of like, kid school shootings happen, how things could go left. Even not even being shot, but maybe like a student having an active aggression towards you. You know what I mean? I think that's every student's fear. But 6 years old, you're not even thinking like that's because, you know what I mean? Like, that's insane. And as a parent, one of my biggest fears, you know what I'm saying, that my daughter could be in that same classroom, could be down the hall from that, could be, you know what I mean? I don't know. This is some crazy stuff. It said that they figured out that the kid used the child's gun. His mother's gun, that was purchased legally. But it doesn't seem that it was locked up, so it's unclear how you gained access. And Virginia law prohibits leaving a loaded gun where it's accessible to a child under 14. However, it's just a misdemeanor, though.
The crime of leaving the gun around is a misdemeanor.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if they're gonna try to file the moms with maybe more serious charges or something like that. But that's, to what you said, Keith. Like, why is the kid even for conflict resolution, right? Whatever he might have had with the teacher the day before, or whatever reason he wanted to shoot that teacher, why is his idea like, let me go straight to the gun? Is a question that we got to ask ourselves as a country.
Yeah, Newport News. Ain't that where Iverson's from, or is that Michael Vick or one of them, or both of them?
Both, if I'm not mistaken, right? Definitely Michael Vick.
Yeah, like they call it Newport Bad News. That's where my mind went. I don't know anything about Newport News, Virginia. I just figured it was just completely the hood. Just because the whole Newport Bad News thing. That's quite some branding. Yeah, but I mean that shit is crazy. To your point about that, that being a teacher's fear, I'd imagine like part of their fear is something that you could kind of imagine. So in this case, like, we've seen school shootings, and a lot of times it tends to be old. If it is a current student, it's older students. So it would be like in a high school or something like that. In the elementary school, our experience with that has been someone from the outside, someone older coming in. So like that, I think now will put a new fear into teachers. I'm sure they could imagine that scenario, but it's one of those things like, yeah, it could happen, but it's probably, probably won't happen. But then it really happens in real life, right? So I can't even imagine
And
being a teacher in that town.
isn't this like the third shooting, like national news story that we heard come out of Virginia? Because we had the college, was that in Virginia?
Near Virginia Tech or something like that.
No. Maybe I'm mixing it up. The recent one with the black dude, he shot the other three college football players.
I think that was I think it was University of Virginia or something like that.
Was that out there? Oh yeah. Okay, so
like
yeah,
that.
and yeah, it's not great news coming out of Virginia when everything is like shooting, mass shooting. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
That's not cool. And you can imagine the stories that don't make the national news that you know what I mean might be even more tragic.
Yeah.
Speaking of shooting, man, in the second segment, second part of catching up with Keith, your boy Tory Lanez got found guilty in that Megan Thee Stallion shooting case, bro. I don't think we ever got to touch base on your reaction from that, but did you see that coming? It kind of felt like the court of public opinion was going to take over, right?
Won't lie, I didn't see it coming. I mean, there was a lot of I guess the prosecutors like allowed the story to be kind of weird, like so I'm like, oh, the story's kind of weird. That's a lot. All you need is a reasonable doubt to say not guilty. I can't say guilty. And there was tons of space for doubt. But then again, we kind of getting it through the filter of TMZ and Twitter.
And social media, exactly.
Yeah. But if you in the courtroom, it's like, yeah, maybe the prosecutors allowed a weird ass story to creep in there, but that dude shot him, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they're getting the evidence. Like, yeah, that dude shot her, man. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I think residue on his he did have residue on his hand, but the woman, the other woman,
Kelsey, one of the friends had a residue.
Yeah.
But Megan didn't say she got shot at first. Then she said she got shot. So it was so much of this like back and forth changing stories that it caused enough of a confusion to at least sway the court of public opinion. But evidence is evidence, bro. And they already had him on the phone talking to Shorty the next day, apologizing.
Yeah. Was that, they put that in court?
I think that was played in court. It didn't get released to the public until after the case was over. But I think they heard that in court. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the thing with if her name is Kelsey, like I think when she got interviewed by the cops, it was like I heard a shot and Tory Lanez. I just saw Tory Lanez kind of pointing outside the car window, something like that. And then at court, she was like, "No, nobody, no gun, no nothing happened."
No, I mean, no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy too. You forget that Tory Lanez ain't even from America,
right? So you get deported.
Yeah, that's nuts, bro. But yeah, wilding out is not the way to, you know what I'm saying, like handle your issues. Like we just said, conflict resolution, going to guns, it don't seem to be working out for anybody, you know what I mean? So definitely find different ways. And then also a bigger note is because it was rumored that Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez was in a relationship. So I mean, if your relationships go to violence, go to volatile, nonsense, you should see it with Dana White recently. Sometimes you gotta separate yourself from that. You know what I mean? That's not what love is. That's not how it's supposed to feel.
And it's I can't even imagine being in a situation where you have to, when it comes to pointing a gun in the direction of anybody that
loaded,
I'm cool with. Yeah, exactly. That part is insane to me. Like it could have been, I know, I would bet money that Tory Lanez ain't no marksman or nothing. Like he ain't no hit a target from 100 yards or whatever. So if it could have been so much more terrible. Like, it could have been horrible what happened.
Yeah. You don't think about that, and that's the thing too that I think we was getting caught up in. Whether you like Megan Thee Stallion or not, she got shot. Yeah. Well, you don't know who did. Whether you thought it was Tory who did it, she still got shot, and it's like she got the right to feel hurt that someone that she might have cared about shot her. That's some traumatic shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wish them both the best in their careers, and hopefully they can both move on from this because you don't want this to define you, to be the defining moment of your career.
Even if he didn't fire, that would have been traumatic. Like
it would have, just playing, right?
Yeah. So the fact that he pointed and then shot, like that, and after so think about it. From the argument traumatizes people. The argument alone, or her was pretty like explosive or whatever. The argument alone for her to say, "Just let me out the car," or I don't know if she was kicked out the car or she left, and then the pointing and then the firing, like And then the cops kind of like the whole thing is just bananas.
Yeah. Then you add alcohol into it, it just makes it much more complicated, man. Man, but we still catching up with Keith. And Keith, you might have to put me on a game with a little bit of this one, man. Who is George Santos and why he lying so much?
Yo, George Santos joined
this.
George Santos joined is fun because I think everybody had a boy who just lied for weird reasons and about weird stuff. So the George Santos joint, everybody, man, democracy is at stake and all this type of shit. And I was like, man, I miss dudes like George Santos and my crew, man. Like you get older, you don't
lie
get
for no reason.
Lie for no reason, but shit be fun. Like, yeah, man, I got a PlayStation 4. Man, nigga, it's 2002. You ain't what? What a PlayStation? What? Yeah, nigga, I got the Japan, prototype,
right?
yeah. You know my cousin's Japanese, right? Yeah, right. You ain't got no Japanese cousin. Yeah, man. Yeah. So that dude lied about it. You know what's crazy? He lied about stuff that like doesn't necessarily get you ahead. He said he was gay. Like, he just dropped it in there. He said, yeah, you know, and I'm gay. Oh, y'all ain't convinced that I'm gay? All right. I got 4 employees that died in the Pulse nightclub shooting. I went to college, y'all. And my man even lie and say, you know, like he even lie and say I went to Harvard or, you know, he said I went to Baruch College. I went to Baruch College, right? So I'm not shitting on Baruch. I'm just saying it's not a school you would lie to people about going to.
Yeah. Now he in the New York media because he ran in New York, right?
Right.
So
he ran and won in like Queens, Long Island.
He said a couple of his lies. He said he lied about where he went to school, like Keith said, lied about where he worked, lied about owning rental properties, lied about being robbed for rent money, apparently lied about being Jewish.
Yeah, he said his folks died in the Holocaust.
Wow. Lied about his criminal status in Brazil. Lied to donors. He said he was a star volleyball player at Baruch College.
Yeah, he just like the lies is like just usually you slip one lie in there just to get your foot in the door, get a leg up so people could, you know, take the rest of you or whatever. My man went in, and I want to know who he really. You started this whole thing off, and who is George Santos? I don't know. No one knows.
No one knows, right?
It's usually a little lie. Like even Trump did the whole billionaire thing and how successful he is, but then he came in, he said, yeah, you know, I'm really successful. I'm racist too, y'all. Come through. Right? Like just a little something that he come through with the truth. George Santos slipped in lies and it just built on them, which is hilarious to me. It's crazy.
So I mean, but he already has the office, so now people ask him to step down, and he like, nah. Nah.
I'm good, B. And he gets a salary, a real salary. Like that's the truth. Like there's no fake salary. He gets a real salary. Yeah, I mean he probably won't get a reelected. Might as well enjoy it for what it is. Out,
right?
Yeah, just ride it out, man. I mean, you know one thing, people cannot take away U.S. representative off of your resume. So who knows what he could do after this. Regardless of whatever shame he leaves the office in, he gonna get a job, a nice job too. Somebody gonna hire him.
Well, yeah, because your name's in the algorithm, you're trending, right? So you got some type of value to somebody, right?
Yeah, at the very least, he's gonna go on like a Navy SEALs game show or some shit like that. Some shit where he's like dodging balls, people launching Swiss balls at him or some shit like that. He gotta dodge him. That shit pays pretty nicely.
Yo, Keith, I don't know if you're ever familiar with a new segment that we got on this show, man. I usually do it when my man Spec is here, but we on our Brooklyn shit today, so we jacking it from Spec, and it's called Respect or Speculation. Basically, you tell me if you respect what's going on in this story or if you got a little bit of speculation. Actually, it's called Put Some Respect on My Name. I fucked that up. But you're either gonna tell me if you got respect or speculation. You know what I mean? Yeah, First one up, Joe Biden. He got the classified documents too? A couple weeks ago was coming at my man Trump for the classified documents being found. Apparently, as early as the midterm elections, Sleepy Joe, they was coming up with classified documents from his time as vice presidency. And then I believe this week found more documents at his Delaware home. Man, that's that's nervous, bro. Do they even know what's in the? They don't know what's. Well, they're not gonna tell us what's in the documents, right? But
apparently he doesn't know either because the lawyers is like, yo, you don't want to know. Like, we just leave it like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And now it could cause a bit of a headache for Joe because now he has to answer to this. start an investigation, and it just doesn't look great, right? When you, it's like I just mentioned Dana White earlier in the previous episode. He got caught up for the domestic violence, and people want to throw that up because they're like, "Yo, you condemned other people for their domestic violence." Same thing with Joe. You just condemned Trump for having these documents at Mar-a-Lago. What's up with you? Yep. What's up with you, Joe? What I will say though, and I don't know if you pick up on this, I feel like Joe gets a pass in the media. Like if it was Trump, I feel like every crazy thing he would have said about it, anything, it's like it blows up my phone. When it's Biden, it does come up on the headlines. It's a little sporadic though.
But that's Trump's own doing though. Like that's true, like, you know, presidents. I said this when Joe Biden first got elected. Presidents are supposed to be boring. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a president wearing a brown suit to a press conference, like that being headline news. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Right? Something stupid like that. So, you know, if something like that did happen, Trump, oh, it's a witch hunt, or why, you know, why a nigga can't have some documents at the crib when. Right, all saying all kinds of crazy shit. Joe, if he says it, and Trump says shit on purpose. If Joe says it, like he'll say it by accident. I think he said, "Yeah, nigga, it ain't like it was out on the street. I had it right next to my Corvette." I'm like, what?
I was like, "Stop talking, dog. Just stop talking."
That's some joint. Your girl catch you doing something like, "Yo, oh, what are you talking about? I was with my boy Kevin. You know, he's the one with all the bitches, not me. I was just with him."
So you got respect for Joe Biden, you believe him, or you got a little bit of speculation in this situation?
I got speculation. I big speculation though. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that this is a normal thing to have a couple documents at the crib. Like I just wouldn't doubt it. But now, like, Joe's team's the ones who found it. Probably 15 years. I'm sure, like, Obama and George Bush it was like, oh, you can't, I didn't know you could. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
They dropping shit off on Tuesday.
Yeah,
like, yo, hey, we should leave these back here.
Yeah, they ain't even gonna show their face. They just gonna drop that shit off like a clothing donation bin. Just like, oh shit, let me drop off these codes and shit. I couldn't keep those.
I was thinking that. I was like, yo, Obama, they coming for you next, dog.
No. Trump they probably mad at Trump, not because Trump is Trump, because he probably made it hot. He's like, yo, man, they asked you for, just get that shit back. Like, stop making it a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got a little bit of speculation for Sleepy Joe myself on that one, man. Next up, Keith, respect or speculation. I don't know if you heard, but all over the world, everybody's talking about the Prince, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, writing the book called Spare. It's supposed to be a tell-all novel about his experiences from young as his mom dying when he was a child to just issues that he's had with his brother, and even up to the Meghan Markle marriage and how much his family was against it. He's definitely telling all and holding no bars behind. I mean, and I got a sibling, right? You got siblings as well. Everybody got brotherly, you know what I'm saying, sometimes family beefs that we keep in-house. We don't necessarily got to take outside the house. Obviously, the beef with the royal family, it's public at this point. But do you think he kind of violated a little bit by talking on personal issues with Prince William?
Yeah, man. I did, man. I felt funny about that. I felt weird about that. And I looked at it and, you know what? They got to make a living. Remember, they're not living on that royal check no more. It's like, true. And Meghan Markle ain't gonna be landing acting gigs like that. So it's like, oh, you gotta do something. Let's write a book. I'm surprised he did like a tell-all kind of thing. I thought it was gonna be some cool, like, you know, he's a historical figure in some way. Mm-hmm. You know, we write a little history book. Or I don't know what he could have written, but yeah, I was a little. I don't know if I want to say disappointed, because that would imply that I give a lot of a shit. Like, but it's just like, man, like, you know, you ain't have to go all out like that.
You had a cool. We didn't like you, but we ain't hate you.
Yeah, exactly. Nah. Like when he talks shit about the institution and like just as a general principle, like people being racist against his wife and stuff like that, I get it. But like when he took it to his brother, then I just felt funny about it.
Well, you know why it's called Spare, right?
Nah.
Because basically, I guess William is King Charles is the king, and now William is the heir. He's always been the heir, and basically they were like, so they can't fly together. They can't ever be on the same jet, because if it goes down, they just both gonna go. So, but he can fly with whoever. So they call him the Spare.
Wow.
Like, you ain't the heir, you the Spare.
Wow.
So now, but when I learned that, and then I hear some of the stuff he's talking about, and then I'm like, he wasn't allowed to grieve about his mom's, because they wasn't sad about his mom's dying, basically.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was like, damn, yeah, maybe he kind of felt like an outsider in the crib, you know what I'm saying? And some stuff. I didn't even like the way he talked about killing Afghanistans. Like, that was a little wild. Like, he was just talking about like how he was killing soldiers and he was knocking off like pieces off a chessboard. I mean, I didn't get the full context, so I don't want to judge it, but I was like, I mean, you talking about killing people either way, you know what I'm saying?
Was he glorifying it or just kind of reflecting on?
I mean, it sounded like he was tooting his own horn, like, you know, talking about like he was really in battle. I guess trying to like, you know, speak that he was really on them lines, which I don't even know how much I believe. That seems a little wild, but I mean, he's, you know what I mean? But to your point, the family stuff was more the corny stuff. It's like you ain't even gotta, because what if this don't work out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm thinking, because like just this whole media thing, unless they just trying to make a boatload of money, knowing how hot they are right now, make you know, get this bag and then figure out how to flip this bag on the low. Like they out like that Netflix joint and The Crown is popping.
Oh wait, not theirs, they just had the documentary right on Netflix, right?
Yeah,
you're right.
Megan had an interview with Oprah. Now, and by the way, man, and he's redheaded. I guess like he's like that, you know, they have that thing, the redheaded stepchild or whatever. I wonder if that plays into the whole
being a spear, right?
Yeah, the whole spear thing, like. And then he even talked about his brother's balding. It's just weird, man.
He's dropping diss tracks now. So.
Yeah, that was a rough one, man. And then he got the joint, like, you know what I'm saying?
He got the sunroof.
Yeah, he got the sunroof. Where from the front, the joint, like, you look like you got a hairline, but in the back is just straight up missing. You got your whole shit blown off.
If you live in them glass houses, man, don't throw them stones, brother.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, man.
It seemed like kind of superheadish. It seemed like you definitely lived off of this, like got your fame off of this, and now we gonna shit on it.
You know they're probably the most famous. Everyone needs money, but I just wonder, like, if this is like a money play where it's like, listen, man, I didn't have no backup plan, like, you know.
This is what I do.
They gave me my university. I don't got no skill except, you know, killing enemy soldiers.
Taliban soldiers, right?
Yeah, unless he enlists in the U.S. Army or some shit.
Keith, last one, man. Let's see if you got respect or speculation. Meek Mill offered an apology because I don't know if you've seen recently, he was in Ghana and he actually got to go to the presidential palace, better known as the Jubilee House. However, he showed up in basketball shorts and a white tee along with the rest of his crew, and then proceeded to film a music video there, which he did have permission for, but a lot of people of Ghana descent and people who lived in Ghana felt like this was disrespectful. Like, you wouldn't show up to the White House in basketball shorts and white tee, and you definitely ain't filming no music video cursing, you know, calling women the B word and talking about murking people.
Yeah.
So Meek, you know, I'm feeling that he saw the backlash when he dropped a little clip of it, you know, decided to come out with a apology, you know, basically saying that it meant no disrespect by it. Actually, I'll read it. To the people of Ghana, people of Ghana, the video I dropped was never meant to disrespect the people of Ghana. The fastest way to make the connections through music, and I wanted to do that with displaying art. I'm in my 30s from America, and I didn't know much about the lifestyle here. I apologize to the people for any disrespect. We still gonna push to make the connection between Black people in America and Africa. What I'm trying to do is more in the video, and you should see coming soon. My apologies to the office too. Which I guess he didn't really have to do, you know what I mean? So I give him props in that respect. But and I even looked at the video. The video didn't look like he wasn't doing nothing disrespectful in the video, other than, I guess, his outfit, if you want to call it that. But he also, I mean, he also did some official like events in that same outfit. You know what I mean? He met with him and had permission to you know what I mean, to do everything that he did. So was he in the wrong here, or do you think maybe people were just overreacting a little bit because of the culture difference?
Yeah. So first thing is, I'm guessing this happened recently, because I just hopped on my phone and checked the weather in Ghana. Shit's about 90 degrees, the high of 90 degrees, sunny, clear skies and shit like that. So that's one.
It was the Afro Nation Music Festival, which held on December 29th and 30th, which is what Meek was out there for.
All right, so you already know. And
but yeah, go to your point, 90 degrees, like he didn't want to wear no suit, right?
Yeah.
He also was riding the bikes. I don't know if you've seen him, like the videos, But he was out there with the dirt bikes and he was popping wheelies and doing all that out there because they got a big culture of that out there.
Well, I was about to say the apology. He says that, oh, just check out my video. You'll see that I wasn't being disrespectful. I was like, I didn't see the video, but I'm like, well, if you popping wheelies on 4-wheelers and through the palace and shit like that, I don't know if that's the sign of respect. Getting tracking dirt and shit all through the marble floor.
I ain't see him doing that on the palace. I seen him just doing that in Africa and in Ghana, but I ain't see him doing that at the palace.
Oh, okay.
But I think that might have been his mode of transportation to the palace. Like they might have rode in a convoy, you know what I'm saying, to get there on their bike. So why you would show us smelling like dirt bikes and shit? You know what I mean? Some people could view that as disrespect. So
yeah. That's what was the thing? Speculation or respect? Yeah. I'm on the speculation side because it's just approaching the whole thing like that. I feel as if he and I don't know if there's anything that when he was interfacing with the people to book the video to get like permission for the video, if he felt like it was casual or something like that, but to approach it casually like that, like Meek Mill's a guy of, you know, he's a guy of repute, like he's famous, he you know, and not just for music and not just for bad stuff. Like since he got out of jail, I feel as if he's done a lot for society.
100%.
And I think that you know, the Ghana government was probably happy to have him there. So I think he just from the jump he just didn't realize how much of an honor it was, or I don't know why that is. Is it because it's an African nation or whatever it is? Like to not be like, oh, I'm getting invited to the palace, and this is like what is this palace? Like some kind of royal joint?
It's the presidential palace. It's called the
presidential
Jubilee
palace.
Yeah.
Like he knows the presidential palace. I don't know why he wouldn't think that he should greet them like in a, you know,
going to buy Dutchess, right?
Yeah.
Keith, real quick, I know we short on time, man. We're gonna do some rapid fire. Have you heard story that I had to get your opinion on, man? A dad was in a Ecuador custody battle, basically could not get custody of his children, decided to legally change his gender to female, and actually was he actually won custody of his kids, got him out of an abusive situation, but he couldn't get it before as a male. So basically he's on paper, he changed his gender to female, and because they would never, like, it's one of those courts where they're like, we can't give the father custody. We're not going to take away from a mother, no matter
in Ecuador,
excuse me. Mm-hmm. He was able to prove that the mother was abusive, and they still like, we're not taking her away from the mother. But for some reason, legally as a woman, and I can show him to court saying that he identifies as a woman, they figure, yo, this is a better move.
Wow.
Yeah. Renee Salinos Ramos, excuse me, 47 years old, is now listed as a female on official documents in Ecuador, despite the fact he still identifies as a cisgender male in his everyday life.
These is nice, the black one, right?
Yeah.
Between, you know that meme when he's like this? Wow. Just leaning back, just mind blown. I'm completely that emoji right now. That's a lot, bro. You dropped it on me. Yeah.
He said, I have not heard.
Wow. There's a lot there. Good, bad, and just in the middle.
Yeah. He hadn't seen his kid in 5 months. Both of his children, and they were stuck with their abusive mother.
Wow. Did you get the society's reaction to it? So there's a few things there. I could see people being offended that he kind of, I guess, faking the funk on being a trans person.
Mm-hmm. That has happened.
I'm curious about that.
LGBTQ organizations are angered by his actions because they feel that it is disingenuous to trans citizens. The Ecuadorian Federation of LGBTI organizations released a statement denouncing Ramos's outlandish actions. This man's private matter to obtain custody of his daughters isn't the spirit of the law. Prominent trans activist Diane Rodriguez said. Rodriguez said she thought that this was fake news, but now she's realized it's real, and now we're afraid that in the assembly things will go backwards in terms of rights towards transgender people.
All right, and then on the next level though, there's a sentiment amongst men who've been through family court that, well, kind of what he felt, that it's unfair to men.
Yeah. Even in this country, men feel like that. They call it women's court.
Yeah. Did he break the code? Like this, like that tactic is like extraordinary.
He did what he had to do for his kids.
Yeah, and then saved them from an abusive situation. Like that's
Don Q and
then there's
Juwan the
that
Man
part
at
of
the same time.
no, man.
Mind blown.
Wow.
But now what it is happening is, so you do see things where people are taking advantage of this. I've heard something where I don't know if this was the reason this person did it, but I heard a person change their gender and their car insurance went down. So you know what I'm saying, you could have people trying to abuse it. You also have a story, I got to get more facts on this before we talk about it, but Dwayne Wade, you know how his daughter wanted to change her gender to female, and you know, has gone through the process, but I don't think any surgeries were done, not that I know of. And I think legally
just
on paper,
gender affirming like treatment, but not like hormonal stuff. And
exactly. But I think still on paper she's listed as a male. So I know that he filed a petition to change her gender, you know, legally. And the mother, you know, her birth mother is like, nah, that's not part of our custody agreement. Like, you weren't, you know what I'm saying, you took the responsibility to protect her and, you know, health decisions, but this ain't a health decision. This is out that range. And some people feel she might be a little bit disingenuous, like she's just against the transgender movement, as opposed to more so thinking that Dwayne Wade is putting their child in any kind of risk. It's a big conversation. Wow. It's a lot to unpack, right?
That's a big conversation. And then again, she's a parent. That could just be her belief, and that counts for something.
That's true. No, that one, there's a lot to unpack even more. What this guy did definitely took advantage of the system, and obviously they're going to make legislation to kind of maybe slow that down from happening, because we just even recently had the first transgender execution, I think last month in this country. A transgender inmate was executed. A man killed his girlfriend, buried the body, and then during the time between him being arrested and be on a death row, he transitioned into a woman.
Before conviction, after conviction?
I think after conviction, he was already in jail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was he still in a male prison?
That I don't know what kind of prison they kept him in. I want to say, they did keep him in a male prison.
How do I miss all this shit, man? I gotta read. Start reading, man. I gotta stop just reading the headlines, start reading the articles, man. This shit is
mind blown, right?
Yeah. Can we get back to Ecuador? This shit is like if John Q had a sequel, like this would be that shit, like
the remake, right?
they remake John Q or some shit like that, like make it more modern. Like that's what he did.
Yeah. He doesn't look, but he didn't do he doesn't look like a woman. That'd be like full blown. He still showed up to court dressed as a man, but on he pulls out his like driver's license and shows that he's female. That's crazy.
I don't know, because I was about to say that's kind of like flaunting it in people's face, like, well, it says female, but clearly, you know, phenotypically, like you're a man or whatever. Wow.
If he did it for any other reason besides his kids, I'd be like, yo, that's corny. But you know what I mean, to do it for your kids, you gotta do what you gotta do to get them out of an abusive situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because that you said the LGBT QIA of Ecuador released that statement and didn't mention why he did it. I felt that was, I don't know, like they could have mentioned that, to be fair.
Because they make it seem like he was just doing it for shits and gigs.
Yeah, exactly. Like some George Santos shit.
Yeah. Callback. Keith, have you heard high school football players were hospitalized after a coach made them do 400 push-ups as a punishment? Like, come on, dog. After the Damar Hamilton shit, you gonna do some wild shit with any type of football player? It?
Wow.
He got in trouble after it. Let me double check, see if he did it. It said it
happened
Friday.
Medical issues?
Yeah, it happened last Friday, so it was after.
Wow. What kind of medical issues was it? Like passing out, dizziness?
Yeah, it looks like exhaustion, but let me just double check. So they were required to do push-ups as part of a punishment with no water breaks. He was hospitalized and diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis, which can cause kidney damage or failure. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced that.
Yeah, I'm almost sure.
Yeah. Ooh, that's bad. At least 8 students were hospitalized after the extreme workout.
Wow.
That's nutty, bro. Like, you don't, come on.
He's in
coach.
trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, even before Damar Hamlin, just given this day and age, like stuff like this has been in the public quite a bit, you know what I'm saying? In adult athletes, but especially in youth athletes, like that wasn't a good move. There must be more he made them do. The 400 push-ups thing. I guess 400 push-ups.
But you know how coaches are when they get like caught up. They start getting hyped up. They start, like, oh yeah, you giving up? It's like, you ain't the Marines, dog.
Yeah,
they got class after this. What you doing?
Well, that's the thing though. That stuff is interesting because like that's the less brutal part of the sport. You said it was football, right?
Yeah.
That's the less brutal part of the sport. Even when you mentioned the Marines, like even in military training, like that's the less brutal part of your whole occupation. So I wonder how is it that they could tell like how far to go? Because they, in a way, you kind of gotta go. You gotta go pretty grueling, but not to the point of like being abusive. And I'm not a coach, so I don't know that point. But I'm like, man, I wonder what that point is.
Yeah, and he only had this position for about a year. It says the football coach's name was John Harrell, and but like you said, they're not trained in knowing how to reckon. I shouldn't say they're not trained, but I don't know how much training they have on recognizing exhaustion, recognizing when a kid's not dogging it, he's really hurt or really, you know what I'm saying, like can't go on. And the fact that, come on, 400 push-ups in an hour, dog. Like, I get it, but you trying to push the best out of them, not like that, though. Give them the water breaks. Do it the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Keith, I want to talk to you because I didn't see the DeMar Hamlin injury, but you actually texted the group, and me and Specs talked about it on the episode. But actually seeing it live, how'd that hit you?
Well, the first thing you thought is concussion. Well, because you didn't. So in real time, the way it played out was, you hear them say, this is injured. You know, he just tackled T. Higgins, right? Tackle. You were gonna go set up for the next down or whatever. And you know, when there's a player injured on the field, like, it's an injured player, we'll go throw the commercial break. We'll be right back. Usually with the next play, that player was left already, whatever. They come back and he still wasn't up. Like, that's crazy. So you think, and then they replayed. I think they replayed when he collapsed. So it's like, concussion.
Okay, yeah, because that's the first time you've seen it, right?
The first time you've seen it, yeah. But you don't process everything because the way he popped up. Oftentimes, if you pop up, the concussion is kind of wobbly first, but it was up and then you saw the clip.
Yeah,
it was
up straight back down like a Peyton in a movie.
Down.
Yeah,
exactly. And that joint was crazy. And then, you know, the night went on and on. You found out he had a cardiac arrest. Then that made sense why all the players are like bothered like that. Watching somebody get CPR done on them could be very traumatic. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's your friend. You're not expecting it to be like that. Like it's the scene of it is not. You know, I used to work in a hospital. I've seen it done quite a few times. It's not. It's more expected in the hospital, but when you see it on a football field, it's gotta look crazy. I'm sure they cut his pads off. They have to expose his chest to do the AED and all that stuff. They're pounding on his chest and all that, pumping on his chest, all that stuff. You know, they probably broke a few of his ribs.
That was a concern, definitely.
Yeah.
And it just like you said, the traumatic effect of not where in football you move up 15 yards in practice if someone gets injured. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you used to commercial break, we gotta get back on the field.
Right. They were about to. They was saying, go in the locker room, y'all gonna come back out to warm up. They were ready to because that's just the culture of football, but they realized how major it was. And you know, different analysts and commentators are saying, the NFL probably consulted with a bunch of people, but the instinct was like, all right, if y'all could play, let's play. And I thought they were gonna play, but they were actually pretty close to playing.
Yeah, and the fact is, a national game probably affected it too. Like if that was like in a smaller market, they might have moved on, but everyone's watching.
Monday Night Football, bro, like that, crazy.
Yeah, and then did you know it came off the heels of another player dying? Have you heard of a Jacksonville Jaguars offensive guard? He's a former player. His name is Uche Nwerne. He actually died of a heart attack on December 30th. So that happened like about 2 or 3 days later. But he was found for having a heart attack, and that
is active player. He's not an active player.
No, he was a former player. He had played some time for the Giants, but he was retired or I guess just not on the team at the moment. He was 38 years old, so I guess he was retired. Yeah, 38. Wow. But that's scary. That's our age.
That's our age. Heart attack. Yeah, man. Like, and you gotta think that dude was in one of the most in shape people in the world, being a professional football player. And then Peyton Hillis, a little bit different, but he was on a ventilator. I think his kids, like, they were in some kind of water accident or something like that, and the kids was getting carried out by a riptide. He went to save them, and then he had some type of injury. I don't know if like near drowning. I don't know what it was, but he was on a ventilator for a little bit. But he just came off. He's on the mend now.
Oh, definitely,
looks like he's
man.
doing pretty good.
Yeah, shout out to Peyton Hillis, right? Shout out to Peyton Hillis. Shout out to Mark Hamlin. He's out the hospital.
He's out. He's back home. That's a big deal. If you know how that stuff goes, man. To be back home, that's huge. They wouldn't let him back home unless he was in amazing shape, compared to a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. I don't know if he's talking yet. I haven't heard any reports on that, but I definitely know he's up and about.
He's, if I were to guess, he's most likely talking because he's up and awake and all that type of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going in a positive direction, so that's I'm happy. You know what I mean? And I like it shut down media, right? That's all media spoke about for days. Yep. Everybody was on the Skip Bayless, you know what I'm saying, whatever pylon train. But it's like, let's give it the same attention that he recovered. Because if he would have died, it would have been top story on anything. You know what I'm saying? So give it that same respect that he's back. Prayers were answered, and I don't know if he's gonna play football again, but definitely, shout out to the Bills because they didn't have to pay him. They made sure he got his full payment for the year.
That's huge. Yeah.
That don't happen. That don't happen a lot in football. You know what I mean? So they ain't giving up the money like that. So I mean, I was wishing the best, and I don't know if he wants to play football again. Definitely want him to take the time and think about how much it's worth, and what life is going to be for him moving on from this point on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of the big questions hanging out there is, how did this happen? Did he have an issue with him going on already? So like, we've heard of deaths. Of athletes, like got the dude's name. I think there was like a movie or documentary about him when we were younger, and basically like he was part of a basketball team who had an extremely fast pace. Like they ran up and down the court like crazy, and he had his heart was kind of swollen already, like internally. So like he just collapsed on the court and died. Yeah.
I'm sure stuff like that happens all the time. You know what I mean? But definitely, you know what I mean? Like, and I was even telling Spec, like my nephew playing football, you know what I mean? Even with the head injuries, like, I don't even 100% know how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell him not to. It's not my kid. 1, 2, I also did it, you know what I'm saying, on the level that he did it on. But it's like, it's still a concern, you know what I mean? With knowing what we know. I don't know if I would have played football, know what we know now, you know what I mean? So,
even pro football, former pro football players are saying, I don't know about the football giant. I think, the dude they call Swagoo on ESPN. I was just talking about it, like him and his lady, him and his wife, their son. Like, I don't think he plays. I'm not sure if he plays football yet, but basically, like, it's not something he's gonna push him towards. Like, he's not gonna tell his son, go play football if he wants to. That's a different conversation. But he doesn't, because he understands how violent of a sport it is and stuff like that. And so many people say, my son, man, they ain't playing football.
Have you made a decision on that yet? I don't have a son as of yet, but I don't, and I'm hoping my daughter's not gonna want to play. But have you even thought about stuff like that yet?
Yeah. Nope. Football, I mean, it's a tough thing when a kid wants to do something, because especially in this day and age, we're all about enabling our kids to say, you want that, then go get it. You know what I'm saying? That's how you succeed. But like, that's the one thing. It's a sport. There's a lot of good things that come from it. However, it's very violent and it's fairly dangerous. So
it's definitely a conversation to have, man. Even with like soccer, you put me on a game with the girls with the headers. How concussions is deeper in that. So it's even something that I want to be, wary of before I just tell my daughter to go out there and be the world she could be. You know what I mean? So it's a scary thing, man, and something we got to think about as parents, man. But that's another episode in the books, my boy. First one for the year for your boy Keith and your man Plicca. Keith, where can my people find you out on social media, brother?
Instagram, _35. Better get your kids into chess, ladies and gentlemen.
You can find your man DJ Playboy on Instagram at Pliccapeezy, PLICCAPEEZY. Also find me on Twitter at DJ Playboy. Find me on TikTok at Pliccapeezy also. And you can follow Perfect Talk on Instagram at Perfect Talk Radio. Also check out the website, www.perfecttalkpodcast.com. Every episode, plus my radio show, The Night Shift, and Money Talks Radio is coming back in 2023. We was just in the studio. It's the radio show I do with my brother DJ Show, so look out for that. Every Wednesday, like I said earlier, AO Wednesdays on Instagram with my homegirl AO Niche. We go live on Instagram Live and talk about everything that people want to hear. So, look out for that as well. And every episode of Perfect Talk Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, if I didn't say that already. Just everywhere, you know what I mean? So go check it out, SoundCloud, of course, and leave a rating, leave a like, leave a review. Check us out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and do the damn thing. Heath. This week I seen a woman hit a man in the head with a bowling ball. That was one of the
in real life.
It was on Instagram. It was like it's a viral video. They were arguing, and she knocked him out with a bowling ball. That was one of the craziest things I've seen all week. But what have you been watching lately, my guy?
Well, I just finished this Hulu show called Under the Banner of Heaven, which is basically about this Mormon community. There was a murder there, and basically it's this whole thing about, you know, them exploring Mormonism and like when people take the religion too seriously and fundamentalism and all that type of stuff. I found it wasn't a very, I won't lie, it wasn't a very entertaining show. I was always doing some shit in the background, like while it was on, like just trying to catch the main drift. And then probably like it's like 7 episodes, like the last 45 minutes of the show, I probably like locked into it. Yeah, but I just thought it was fascinating. I started listening to podcasts about the shit and everything.
Are you into true crime?
I like true crime. I'm not like super into it. I do enjoy it though. Like as far as like podcasts, I listen to podcasts a lot at night, so I don't listen to a lot of like true crime and shit. I listen to a lot of sports and comedy. But yeah, true crime is fun because you have to Google shit after it's done.
It gets get more of the story. Yeah. I had to stop fucking with Serial because I used to listen to it like when I be coming home from my night job. 2:30 in the morning, I'm listening about this murder. I'm like, nah, I don't need these thoughts, bro.
When you driving at night, when they describing like murder scenes and shit like that, everywhere it just looks like that shit. They're like, yeah, there was a tall grass in the body, the foot was sticking out the shit, and you look over and it's some tall grass. Some shit that looked like a foot, but it's an old boot that somebody threw.
Let me get home before they hem me up for this shit. Hell yeah. But yeah, man, definitely back for the 2023, man. Good doing an episode with you, Keith. Always a blessing, man. And we up out of here. Say goodbye to the people, my brother.
Peace.
Peace.